Good morning. This is Cynthia Scanlon with the newest podcast from Good Grief. Today, I am excited to have the opportunity to talk with a client and a very good friend of mine, Erin McDaniels. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am so grateful you came on this podcast and you're able to share a little bit of your story or how it affected you or uh, just the journey that it's been. And thank you for coming.
Well, I'm grateful for all the work you've helped me with and how it's helped my life progress. And yeah, if this helps other people, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's it, right? I mean, the interview is what it is, which is what my goal was. That's my like just getting a chance to tell our story or talking to other people about these things that have made a difference in our life, having an impact that goes out. That's even better. So I'm going to jump right in with you.
Okay.
My first thing that I always ask, and I really want to know, is what drives people to do the work?
I think it's funny because since we've been working together and this idea of grief, when I tell people about it initially, they're like, "Oh, I don't have grief."
Yeah,
And I think that's where I was too. I'm like, I don't have grief. So I didn't view you as somebody who I needed in my
yeah.
life. I'm like, I don't need that kind of therapy. But I had my wife was actually going to see you, and we were talking about the therapy and what it actually looked like. And I think you and me just decided to talk. I think we had
Mhm.
like an interview kind of just like, hey, is this something that might work for me? But
Yeah,
it's like a lot of things in my life. She would do something healthy, introduce it, and then I'm like, oh, okay. I think like a lot of guys, we don't take care of ourselves, right? We're just
yeah. It's kind of a true thing,
and then
unfortunately.
you see
Yeah.
your wife eating a little healthy, and you're like, okay, I'll eat a little healthier. So, um, yeah. Anyway, she was doing this, and then you and me started talking. I think you recommended the Grief Recovery Handbook, and
Mhm.
I've been into reading books, so I think I read it in like a week.
Yep.
And after I read that, I was like, oh, okay, I see what it is. And when they started explaining what grief was, and can I just say this because I feel like if people are listening to this and like I don't have grief, I didn't realize it's just any, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's just any big change in your life. And it could be
Absolutely.
positive and negative. Like, I didn't realize you could grieve something. Like, if you inherited a bunch of money,
Yep.
like, there would be a grief process with that because you have a change in circumstance. And so, yeah, that's understanding what it was kind of got me excited about it. And
Yeah.
then seeing you and just seeing how you interacted. Some of it was just you, you know. Like I think I'm not sure I would have done the grief work on my own if I just read the book. I might have
Yeah.
gone about it different.
Yeah.
Meeting you and seeing your empathy and how you communicated was kind of drew me in.
Oh, thank you. I want to, if I could jump in on that. I love the idea. The grief recovery um, method does encourage people if they're not going to find a grief counselor to do it with another person, and I think that's great because, quite frankly, you're the one that turned me on to the empathetic witness out of Benjamin Hardy's book, The
Yeah.
Personality is Impermanent. And in theory, empathetic witness is someone who listens, doesn't judge, and doesn't tell you what to do. That's fantastic. However, grief, as you've now found, is so freaking complex. And there's so many things to break down that I do think having someone who's been doing the process and is able to see where you might go, where you would never see, or just an empathetic witness who's just kind of doing the journey with you. Is it going to benefit you? Yes. Is it going to benefit you more to have someone who takes you through the journey a little bit that's like been down this, gone through multiple ways of coming back in, tons of the tools? I think that's a much powerful way to do the work. And I agree with you. That's one of the reasons why I started encouraging people to become grief therapists with moments that make you, because I'm probably not the one. I know I'm not the one for everyone. Not to mention, I couldn't always work with everyone. But when you get your person, that person can be that guide. And I think that's a really good point. You need to have that connection.
Yeah, I think it's like that book you mentioned. They said we all get trauma, but they said trauma is what happens to us in the absence of an empathetic witness. Because if you have your stuff happen, but you have somebody to talk to about it. But that person is just, it's hard to find, especially in man world. I feel like
Yeah.
girls get together and they talk, but even when you talk, I've had other therapists I feel like are not great empathetic witnesses.
Yep.
Like I've had people start to tell me about their problems, and it's like, wait a second, what am I paying you for? Like I want to
It's
tell you about
true.
like I just need, I gave you money. Can you please listen to me talk for an hour? And it's like, no, even if you pay me, I will not. So,
That's actually true. I've had therapists like that as well. And you're like, hey, I'm the one I think grieving. What's go
yeah, I get it in a normal interaction where we're friends and there's some give and
Yeah,
take,
yeah,
but like sometimes I need, yeah, but it's hard to find that person. And I like that you have taught some classes on empathy. I had a
yep.
little joke that I'm not a good listener. I didn't know I wasn't a good listener, but I've had to learn how to listen. My joke was that I had to read a book on hostage recovery to learn how to talk to my wife.
I remember when you
It was
forgot
called
that
Just
book, and I
Listen.
was like,
I'm
fair
like,
enough.
okay, now yeah, not that it's a hostage situation over here, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
like that's
it's
helpful.
well, don't you think too, men tend to want to fix, and that's kind of part of our dynamics when you come in, when my husband comes in, there is like, hey, the kitchen sink, I can't do that. That's your thing. Could you fix that? And that's like, yeah, I did that. I read a book, Queen's Code. There's a certain amount of that that's true. Then there's a whole nother piece where it's like, I don't need you to fix this. Please just listen. And then it's like, okay, I'm good. I walk away, and the man's like,
Yeah.
but I
Even in
didn't do
my work,
anything.
just on Tuesday, I had a client and she was so angry at the other contractor because he's like, he just didn't listen to what I wanted. So it shows up in all of our areas of life. But yeah, so I appreciate, I guess I didn't have a lot of that in my life and I didn't know that was missing. I didn't know I didn't have an empathetic witness.
Yeah.
Brene Brown gets into it really well with all of her empathetic misses that people do. And
Hmm.
once I saw all the empathetic misses, I was looking at the conversations I was having in life. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of people who say, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Or even in the grief recovery handbook, how I think on your website you have the different things like just
Replace
get
the
over
loss.
it.
Yeah.
We'll replace it with something new. Um,
Don't get yourself a new dog.
yeah, when you grieve alone. Come back when you can go. If you're gonna cry, go to your room and you can come back once you're feeling better, because
Yes.
people don't just want to sit with you
Yeah.
in it. And so once I realized that that's what we were gonna do, I didn't I didn't love it. It's just like exercise, you don't love it or running. It's like I don't love that at first, but
No.
I have to say our last session we had, I felt so good afterwards for several hours. I was like, what is this feeling? Like it was kind of washes over and you're like, oh, okay, that was nice to get it off. And
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I started a certain introduction for people to buy a package and make it a little more affordable to see me, because there is something about, if you like going to the gym, you just go long enough to hate the gym. And it wasn't about the gym, right? And you can do this work just long enough to think, oh God, I feel like crap. And you're like, because you haven't gotten to the healing modalities yet. It's like doing the surgery and then not doing the recovery components. You're like, why the heck did I even do that? And I think it's important for people to understand that piece too. Like, it takes time to get completely through that. And I feel like like little steps, you feel a little bit better. But as you do it, the more you do it, the more you'll get, especially the little fine pieces of grief that's happening. There
yeah,
is this like, oh, like I
we
could
have
take a
so
deep
many
breath.
experiences throughout our life. It's like, and most of them are kind of messed up.
Right? So true. Ding.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to kind of take this on the same line, but what were for you, maybe some of the most powerful things you got from the work? Was it a timeline, a tool? Did you learn better communication,
So like I said,
navigating grief? Tell me what you think, like maybe top three
yeah,
or
so like I've done other therapy and it was nice. Like that was a good jump off point. But what I really liked about this work was the graphing out of our lives. I think in the grief recovery handbook, they talk about grief and all these events. Like I said, these messed up things that happen to us. They're kind of like loose wires or like loose ends of rope, and they're just everywhere. And you need a way to start, someplace to start tying them back together and making sense of stuff. So I think our first session, we did a graph, a timeline of my life.
Yeah.
And that was the graph where we did the positives and the negatives. And I didn't realize how many events, were fairly significant
Yeah.
in my life. And then from that, I appreciate how you were able to look at it and say, okay, well, I noticed, Aaron, that this came up for you 5 or 6 times on your graph. There's a lot of positives and negatives here. Let's zoom in on that relationship.
Yeah.
And then, so the first graph I did, I can still remember. I think I needed to like take off from life for a minute. I drove
Yep.
up to the redwoods and I did my big first grief graph, and being able to get that and just I I mean I didn't understand, just the understanding helped out a lot. Like I didn't understand that as we went through it and all the emotions came up,
Hmm.
just like it's okay to cry. And I guess I knew it was okay to cry,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what happens if you keep things stuck or try to push it back down. And I mean, we were over Zoom, but I also didn't understand that if somebody's grieving and you try to stop it, like by touching them or giving them a hug or
Yep.
jumping in, I didn't know how stifling that could be. So letting it all kind of come out, it
Yep.
does feel very much like throwing up, like that feeling after where you don't want to do it, and then all of a sudden it all comes out, and you're like, oh. And I remember my brother saying, like, yeah, but what about the person who got thrown up on? It's just like, but
That person needs to know to come in a suit. Uh,
no,
if they're showing
yeah,
up as the empathetic witness, they need to come in a suit,
you
or
know,
they gotta
no, you're prepared. You're prepared to hold the hair back, and
exactly like you come prepared for this. This is what you came for. Hello.
but that graph and the letter, that was very powerful. That was the first tool I think you introduced me to,
Yeah.
which I really appreciated, and I think it was pretty profound. I realized some shifts that needed to happen in my life.
Yeah.
And then you also recommended some books that I really appreciated. And then it's been nice just getting to know you because you've got so many modalities. Like you've introduced me to so many things. I didn't know anything about neurolinguistic programming,
Yeah.
and that's been really powerful in my life.
Yeah.
I use that pretty regularly. And then the you're always like some people just know their trade and they don't ever do continuing education.
Yes.
Or
You know those people.
they take the easiest continuing education possible
Yeah.
because it's required. I feel like you're always into something new and interesting, which has been really cool. Like you introduced me to the emotional complex clearing,
Yeah.
and that was really powerful. Like that whole Cook's hookup thing. And
Yeah.
I remember the first time we did that, and like all these emotions came out. I'm like, what? They were just hiding.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Left, right
communicate.
brain,
Like
who
they
knew
weren't.
if they talked, this is what happens? Or like, hey, I've been holding this for so long, and the right brain's like, I didn't want to know that. And they're like, oh, well, we need to work together now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
stuff like
then
that.
that whole process of clearing and going back and doing some of the rescue work, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think after we did that class, then I like how it's a complete thing. Like, okay, and then most people are like, all right, you're done. Like after you finish a workout, but then you carried us through with like, oh, and this is what you do to recover. Now go lay down and listen to this frequency of music for
Yep.
I don't know 30 minutes. And
Yep.
I was like, okay, but all that woo woo stuff. I thought was woo woo, but I'm like, all right, but it's pretty normal. It's like when you look into
Yeah.
it, you're
It's
like,
amazing. People are tapping everywhere. People are doing calm apps.
yeah, like
People are
if you hold,
writing
like,
their,
duh, of course.
yes.
Yeah, I believe in God and creation, and I believe like He must have created us in an amazing way, but I don't understand. I didn't understand how amazing we are.
Yes.
Like, I didn't realize, I think you were telling me how we store memories in our body. Like you had the story about the guy who had the long funeral line behind him. His
Mhm.
dad died and everybody came and patted the guy on the back.
Yep.
And then so like he had a memory of his dad's death in his shoulder, basically.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh shoot. So do I have memories like all over my body? And
Yeah.
so
I've done an emotional complex clearing when I was teaching with the Brad May, who was the one who invented complex clearing. And we had a lady that we started into something, and her mom would beat her with a hanger. And she just stood there and we just kept clearing her body and kept like clearing it out through the legs because those memories were all over. And that clearing And people, if we don't understand clearing because you can't see, it's like clearing through the spine to get it out of the nervous system, but it's in the body as well. So we kept clearing like down the legs. And when she sat down, it was like this, whoa, it's gone. It's out of your body because that stuff gets stored in there. It's amazing. It's amazing different ways that and neurolinguistics works on that as well. They are there to have you bring it up and then like put a new one in there
Yeah,
as
to me,
well.
the neurolinguistic thing, I use it like I love editing videos and photos and all that. And I feel like that's kind of what you're doing with your brain, right? Like you
Yep.
can brighten pictures or reduce it, or like if somebody's yelling at you, you can uh, turn their voice funny or off,
Yeah. Yeah.
or edit the clip. That's been I like to use those tools. Those have been very helpful.
Awesome. I mean, for me, it's like these little sayings that we have, like, well, that's a train of thought. Is there another train of thought? It's like, yes, get off that train because that train is not going where you really want. And that sounds great, and it is great. But most of the time, we get off that platform, we walk down, and we're like, I don't know what to do. And the next train comes in, going the same direction. We just get on that train because we need a little bit of a guide, and eventually we can kind of do it ourselves. But do you know, to this day, when I have something that I feel like I can't just do by myself, I call somebody because I need my empathetic witness. Like I'm on a
Yeah.
train of thought. I've done all my tools. I've done everything I can think of. I need my empathetic witness to help me figure out how to get off this train.
Yeah,
So,
or just have somebody look at the perspective a little different.
yes,
Hey, you've said that to me a number of times. Like, Aaron, did you know that you're like this is bad? And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was fine. It's like a massage. You don't know it hurts until somebody touches it. You're like, oh yeah.
that's the point. That's right there. That we got to work on that.
Yeah.
But tell me, how do you feel you see the work showing up like in everyday life now?
Uh, I've made quite a few different decisions in life, and I think the big thing after we did the first clearing is my business started to take off, which was kind of a ridiculous thing. Like I am an electrician, and I thought that I could charge people 60 to $100 an hour, which is a pretty average rate for electricians, and I was stuck in this hourly rate thing. And so I kind of calculated out about what I could make. And after we did the work the first time, I was like, I can pretty much open up and do whatever I want to do. I
Mhm.
don't know why it took that, but something about getting all those emotions cleared
Mhm.
off, my inner self-worth went up, I stabilized, and uh, I just read Brene Brown's new book, Strong Ground.
Ah, I haven't
So,
started that yet.
so it's like before I was pushing against something that was maybe soft. So as I found some ground within myself, I felt like I had a better way to push up more, something more solid to push off of in life. And I began to trust myself, and something inside strengthened a little bit. And so my business started doing really well, which it's odd for me to make those connections, but we are very connected. Like it's all connected. And if you're not okay inside, then your external world really shows that up.
That's profound. You know, I didn't really realize that was one of the things. I knew that your business took off at that point, but I didn't realize that how dependent on the work. But it makes sense, right? You have these limiting beliefs about who we are, where we are, what we're doing, or what we can do. And when the things that are feeding it, which I think grief feeds a lot of that, it feeds your fears, it feeds your insecurities because it has data. Grief is tons of data. All this crap that happened that you haven't taken care of, it feeds it. When you don't feed it anymore because you squished the grief, there's a lot more room for a lot better feelings and motivations and things to move forward. That's pretty profound. So that's probably the biggest one for you, you
I mean,
saying.
that's where it started. That was like the
Yep.
first thing I noticed. And then, it creates self-value and self-worth. That's what I've noticed with the work. You're very, I don't know if all of the people who go through your program are like you, or if this is just something that you have as a human being. We all have our gifts, but
Yeah.
there's something about you that really wants the best for other people, and that um, something about working with you. You've helped me to see how good I am inside. Hey, Aaron, because I came with to you, I think, with a lot of negativity about myself.
Yeah.
And you're like, Aaron, like that's pretty normal. That's okay.
Yeah.
and helping me to understand that the negative parts are fairly, I think that's part of what makes therapy so amazing. But
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, okay. And you're not excusing it. It's not like you're not placating it. You still hold me accountable. Like, hey, Aaron, that's not good. Like if you keep down that path, that's not gonna end well for you.
Yeah.
But it's okay, and here's some tools to improve. So that's probably the empathy part of it. And then once I see that, I'm like, oh yeah, um, I probably don't deserve this in my life, because when you have low self-worth, you're willing to accept more negative things in your life.
Yeah.
But people who have a lot of self-worth, it seems like, hey, that's not good. Like I'm not going to put up with that. Like,
That's true. That's interesting because that is like that key component that came out of even it is something that I've believed in since I started doing the work, and I think I believed in it, which is why I grabbed onto the work. But when Hardy put a name to it, that empathetic witness does not judge, because it's like, who hasn't gotten on that train of thought and ended up in a place that they're like, wow, this is kind of a creepy little ghost town I drove into. I'm like I myself have been there, like, this is not my true authentic self. What the heck am I doing here? And I feel like there's very few things that I can't hold the space for with people to be like, oh, wow, we can turn that train around and go a different direction. And matter of fact, let's just blow that whole piece up, because that is not the authentic you. So
yeah, that's right. The authentic self. Yeah, which is been kind of an interesting concept that we've been working with lately.
yeah, I think
I,
that it's important to know those pieces are just part of a self that's not our authentic person. They're not really who we are.
yeah,
And
I
it,
used to. Oh, go ahead.
go.
Oh, I just used to think I've heard my whole life that we only use like 1/10 of 1% of our brain or something like that,
Yeah.
and I always imagined it like a very literal thing. I think this is my spectrum stuff or whatever I have going on. Like I just couldn't visualize. Maybe other people are viewing it the same way though, and this will help. But they said 1% of your brain or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm using like a nickel piece, nickel-sized piece of my brain, and the rest of it's dark. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. We actually have like we are using all of our brain. Like I think like that 1% thing's kind of a myth. It's
Yeah.
just not fun. But like I didn't realize how it's all connected. Like the sight and the sound, and when it
Yeah.
all comes in, like we're using a lot of our brains, and but it is divided. Like there are different parts of it, and
Yep.
trying to get out of maybe the angry part or the real judgmental part and letting that authentic part take over. I think, did we do any internal family systems therapy stuff? Talk about any of that?
We did, because you read that book, and then I can't remember the name of that book. We kind of worked on some of that. I think you had a therapist that kind of rolled
Yeah.
around in there, and we worked with that. It's not like in the book or the workbook or whatever, but
But how there's like kind of somebody, like there's kind of ambassadors for your brain, but there is
yeah,
one part of it that's like, okay, everybody else can jump in and we can talk about it, but
yeah,
your authentic self isn't like that. And if you're doing something that's out of harmony with who you really are, you will feel bad. But yeah,
yeah.
I'll
I think
come
you're
back
now
around.
getting into what I call the difference between being judgmental and using good judgment, right? We could be judgmental with ourselves, like, you are a piece of crap, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, ooh, thank you, Mr. Judgmental. Step out. Good judgment comes in and says, buddy, this doesn't jive with our, myself, right? Cynthia, this does not jive with your authentic self. What's going on? What do we need to do? How do we get off this place that is taking us where we don't want to go? And I think that's the key. When we get into judgmental, and then this is just to add to that little piece on my end. What I think happens is we sit in there and judgmental ourselves to death almost. And then it's like, crap, I can't do this anymore. And we just start turning it on others, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
well,
then we're like,
yeah, I don't do that so much. I more turn it on me. Yeah.
yeah. Then it's like, I know when someone's doing that with their little gun out
Yeah,
there, it's
I've
like,
seen that.
okay, you're doing that because you must have been judging yourself so badly that you can't stay inside there. You can't have a thought of good judgment about someone or yourself, period. Like, that was a great call. You did, that was good. You know, even something that you did the other, okay, well, let's flip it. How did we get there? What took us there? What train of thought did we get on that we don't want to go to? All right, let's back that up and let's take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So just learning how we're made up, getting out of this concept of, I'm bad, or, that part of it, well, my brain's just not working right. It's like, okay, well, it probably is okay. Just let's look at the different things. And
yeah.
yeah, so it's helped a lot. Yeah, with the self-worth and then just making decisions. It seems like I mostly call you when I have a big decision or when something's like, oh, like Cynthia, I think I'm gonna do something dumb.
Yeah, but you did a lot of work to get there where we saw each other weekly and we took out big chunks of those things that were not serving you right now. And I do have clients like that. They're like, well, hey, can I get back on and just, I need to do maybe 2 or 3 months worth of work. Fantastic. I think that to me is the best thing because it's like, I guess went to my doctor and got what I needed and I never go back. It's like, well, no, there's like a 6 month checkup or maybe a year from now or
Yeah.
whatever when you're getting into that place because we all need something outside of ourselves. I probably jump out. I do a lot of my own work, obviously. I think I do, and I don't think I do work pretty much every day. It's not gratitude, it's acknowledgments, something where I barf and burn the anger, whatever, it doesn't matter. Tapping, you name it. But I probably jump out 5 to 7 times a year and take some time and do some work with somebody because like something else has come up. Just so we want to stay right in the present moment as much as humanly possible, right? Because life keeps coming. Some new grief comes along,
Yeah, that's true.
or something that new comes along that triggers an old grief. You're like, oh, that's not just like one of my most profound timelines that I've done in this last year was something came up and I'm like, oh crap. I've been doing all these individual graphs of men in my life and I now see what I call an out of the box or a supplemental timeline. I now look at it as a big umbrella, and it was angry men. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of them. And there were men I
There's a
didn't
lot of
think
them out
about.
there. There's a lot of us out there. We're all a little angry.
Well, you know, to be honest, I'm sure men could put up an umbrella with a lot of angry women because it
That's
was
its own thing. Yeah.
whatever we grew up with it felt familiar. So you let those people in or you let those people be a part of your life. And doing that, I feel like I took the umbrella down and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for me anymore. But it helped me just angry men like out of my, and when it even starts, because my husband can, that's kind of where he goes when he's feeling off. He's a little spectrumy as well. And it's like, okay, here's your tools because I don't do the angry men thing. That abnormal is gone. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's right. I got to do my work. And I'm like, I'm sure I did something that triggered you. I am back here ready, waiting. I want to hear that, but I have to hear that from someone that's just backed
That's
it
some of the work
down.
you've done recently.
Yeah, I just need you to, that helped me there to stay the course with him when he's there. It's like, okay, he knows a long drive, a barf and burn, a long walk, clears his head, and he can come back and say, okay, when you said, or when you did, or I felt,
Yeah.
and I'm like, great. Oh my God, that is not what I meant. Let's flip that. What can I do different? So,
This is why
yeah.
comic books are so amazing because they took all that you're talking about and they put it into a character called the Incredible Hulk.
Exactly. You can just carry that around for everybody. I
And
love
yeah,
it.
and it's like, oh, and people can identify with it. What you're there's a because like how he gets so big and angry, and then
Yes.
and then like when he's done, he kind of comes back to earth, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the crap he does while he's there, sure as
you know,
hell with
good.
that. You're
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't even
what you
remember.
want to do is have one of those and point him towards people. Like, please don't be don't don't hulk out on me, buddy, please.
Right.
And that's what it feels like. That da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron, this is fantastic. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this interview today.
Yeah, I'm sure it could go on and on, but
Uh,
people only have so much attention.
Here's the thing. You and I are going to do multiple ones of these. I would
Oh,
like you to be a regular guest, like every 6, 8 weeks. Let's get back on and just talk about what's new, some other things that you've done,
all the books
where
were
you're
reading. Yeah,
going.
that's fun.
Yes, I would love, you and I especially have a lot of books that we could come in and dissect and how it goes back to the grief work. I would love that.
Yeah, maybe you think Brene Brown will jump on with us?
Oh my God. But don't stop. That's like my heart is just like, oh my God. If one day I had Brene Brown, I have a thing like Brene Brown and I doing back-to-back things on not a YouTube, but
Or I don't know.
uh like I think of the thing and I'm like all my life I'm like, okay, this is how I would do my slideshow and Brene Brown would be there and I'd be like and frozen and stop. I couldn't even. But yeah, I would
She'd
love
probably
oh,
be okay. I think she's just a person.
she
She's just,
is. But she's a
I like her, and she has a team.
oh
And that's
my
the other
God.
thing is I look at a lot of successful people and I'm like, how are they so successful? And when you look at them, like they have a team.
They do.
And
This is
I haven't
why,
had much of a team in life, but I appreciate that you're on my team. I have a team.
yes. Well, here's the thing. When someone gets to that point where they have a team, that's part of what I want this podcast to be. People like you, my grief therapist, it's almost like you're just going to do it by yourself. I'm like, oh, let's just listen to one person. Blah, 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 blah. I want a team because a man's view and where he's at in the book he read is going to be so different than what I'm doing. This is about a team. I want as many of my grief therapists on here talking about what they do maybe different with their clients and
Yeah.
so on. So yeah.
I don't think we're meant to do all this alone.
No, no. Who wants to be on an island alone? No fun. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening, and my closing for my podcast will be until the next time, may you have a calm heart to guide you. Have a great day.
Right.